Hello and welcome to the next video in the third module in the course where we are learning about business strategy. My name is Robert, and in previous video we have outlined the basic generic competitive strategies. That's going to be cost leadership, differentiation, and the focus strategy. Now, as I have promised to you, in this video we are going to start with first one of them, so it's going to be cost leadership, generic competitive strategy. Let's go straight ahead for the definition. Cost leadership strategy involves the lowest cost organization in a domain of activity. There are now 4 key cost drivers that can help deliver a cost leadership. I think cost leadership is an easiest generic competitive strategy to imagine for us. Well, let's go for the 4 key drivers of how to be a successful cost leader. First of all, we have to focus on input costs. That is quite clear. Whatever we produce, may it be a piece of hardware, may it be a service, we are going to have input costs because we certainly are going to have some labor, so their salaries are our input cost. And as well, we are going to have some suppliers of maybe raw materials. If we have a cafeteria, we are going to be purchasing a coffee. Well, now it depends what the costs are when it comes to this purchase of a coffee. Is it a high-end, super expensive coffee, or is it a low-end, not so good tasting one? So, first of all, we of course have to focus on the input cost, but there is not too much to discuss here. Well, there is much more to discuss at the second point already, where we talk about economies of scale. I think this is a very well-known economical term. The more company produces, the lower the costs are going to be, or the lower the unit cost is going to be. Well, we have to understand 2 concepts. There are always fixed costs and variable costs. These 2 together are going to create a unit cost. If we keep an example of a cafeteria, how much does it cost to produce for us 1 coffee and serve the customer? That is going to be a unit cost. To this unit cost, as we have said, there are going to be 2 contributors. One is a fixed cost, one is a variable cost. So variable cost changes with every unit of output. So for every coffee served, we need to have a certain amount of coffee beans produced by us. And this is a variable cost for us. If we don't produce the next coffee, we are not going to consume these coffee beans. So we are not going to incur this cost. However, on the other side, there are fixed costs. So fixed costs can be the rent of our cafeteria. Now, the idea of economies of scale is simple. The larger output we have, the lower the unit cost will be because of the fixed costs. So if we pay $1,000 in rent every month, that is our fixed cost. Now, if we serve 10 cups of coffee, how much of these $1,000 do we have to account as a cost to each coffee that we serve? Well, we serve 10 coffees, so it's going to be $100 in cost for every cup of coffee that we serve. Well, that is pretty pricey. Now, if we serve 1,000 cups of coffee, meaning we have much larger output, the average unit cost is much lower because now we have to account only for $1 from our rent, which is a fixed cost, for every cup of coffee we serve. That sounds much more realistic. Now, I also have a nice drawing for you, which displays how economies of scale work. Now you see, on the vertical axis, we have the unit cost, which, as you can see, it goes down and then it goes slightly up. Now, we have on the horizontal axis, the output per period. Maybe our period is 1 month. So as you can see, the more cups of coffee that we produce, the lower is our unit cost until the moment we achieve minimum efficient scale. This is the point that we need to achieve if we want to be the cost leader. However, there is one interesting point. The unit cost goes slightly up again. This is what we call these economies of scale. It's not so much known concept. Usually we talk about economies of scale only. Now, these economies of scale can happen, for instance, if we have our cafeteria and we are serving so much coffee that we all of a sudden have to pay our employees overtime. So when they have an hour extra as an overtime, because we have so many customers, we just have to serve them. Well, what's gonna happen is that the extra hour that they work outside of their usual labor hours, we're going to have to pay them triple for that hour. You see, our cost, our unit cost is going to go up again. So these economies of scale are also possible, but they are not so common. So this was the economy of scale as a second main contributing factor if we want to achieve a cost leadership generic competitive strategy. Thirdly, there is experience, and I again have a drawing for you. This one is very similar to the one where we talk about economies of scale. You see, we have the unit cost again on the vertical axis and cumulative output, well, essentially the same as in the previous drawing, on the horizontal axis. This time, again, the unit cost goes down as we are moving forward with our cumulative output. Now we don't have this small bump at the very end, so we don't have the diseconomies of experience, maybe. Well, what does the idea of experience tell us? The more we produce, say we are having our cafeteria for 1 year, 3 years, or 10 years, the more experienced we are, and we can use this experience to achieve lower unit cost. So for instance, if we keep the example of cafeteria, well, after 7 years, we really know how to be efficient when we are bringing the coffee to the table. We know exactly how to do it so that we save a few seconds or maybe even minutes on how we do this one step. That is simply experience. And there are even two concrete points when it comes to experience and how costs can be saved here. First of them is labor efficiency. We already touched upon this. Our labor simply becomes more efficient if they are more experienced. Or the other way around, we as managers can become more efficient in teaching our labor how to do the job. So, second point is efficient design. We can design the product in a way, if we have the experience, so that we save costs with it. So maybe we are now, after 10 years of having our cafeteria, able to tell, this coffee machine is going to be much more effective. We can brew the coffee there in 1 minute instead of 3 minutes with all other coffee machines. So we can, by the design of our product, how do we do our business process, we can save some costs and become a cost leader again. That was the third main key driver of how to become a cost leader. Now the fourth, the last one. And this one is about product or process design. When we are designing the product or a process within our business, we can design the cost leadership or cost efficiency by the outset, from the very beginning. So for instance, if we have engineers and they are going to design a cell phone for us, we can either tell them, hey guys, I want to be a cost leader. Can you please engineer this cell phone from standard equipment, from standard parts? So these parts can be bought all over the internet, all over the world. They are so well known, so they will be cheap. Or we can tell them, hey, I want a cell phone that will be the best in the world. For that, of course, I understand that you will need specialized equipment, you will need special parts, special manufacturing for that. I understand that it's going to be more pricey. That would be more of a differentiator, high-end quality strategy. But we are for now focusing on the cost leadership. So we want to design the cost leadership from the very outset into our product. You can see even in the design we can save the costs. And that was the fourth key driver for the cost leadership. Okay, we now understand what cost leadership means and what are the 4 key drivers that can lead us to be the cost leader. Now, there is later part of this video which I really love. We are going to look at how it works in the market with profit margins, with costs, and so on. And we need to understand 2 concepts. One is parity and one is proximity. So let's go for it. This is an example of a market with 4 competitors. We see their strategies or positions highlighted on horizontal axis. Average competitor, cost leader with parity, cost leader with proximity, and differentiator. Look at the prices that these competitors offer. Differentiator offers much higher price, but probably very differentiated and high quality product. What is of our interest more are the two cost leaders, out of which the one with parity offers higher price. The thing is that this cost leader achieved parity or equivalence in his product offering to average competitor. His product is cheaper to produce and equally good as the product of average competitor. Now, cost leader with proximity has equally low costs of producing. However, this product is of lower quality as perceived by customers, hence he needs to charge lower price than both average competitor and cost leader with parity. This is an example of how it looks like in a real market. And that is all for this video. We defined ourselves a cost leadership, we discussed the main key drivers for becoming a cost leader, and we looked at the particular market, how it looks like with cost leadership, and we touched upon parity and proximity. In the upcoming videos, we are going to talk about different generic competitive strategies, such as differentiation or a focus strategy. I'm looking forward to see you there.